Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. Got a ladder match for you guys this afternoon, but before we roll out with that one, I know you regulars won't mind too much because it's all for a good cause. I haven't done my sales pitch in a while, so bear with me for a couple of moments while I do it for the benefit of my newer subscribers. Guys, if you've recently subscribed to the channel, you like what you see but you're not 100% sure what it is you're looking at, the game is Supreme Commander Forged Alliance, not Supreme Commander 2, and it is available on Steam for £10 or $15 or whatever the equivalent is in your local currency. And all you need to do to come play with us, come have a chat in the chat rooms, come try out all of these cool mods that have been heavily worked on by people in the community. All you need to do is, once you have that game installed, download the Forged Alliance Forever multiplayer client, and you can find a link to that down below the description for this video. And it's not going to matter whether you have a physical retail copy of the game, as in an actual disc, or the digital download edition from Steam. It's a seriously clever client. It will work out all of the nooks and crannies and get it all working for you. You can, incidentally, install FAF without having the game installed. Obviously you won't be able to play the game, but you will be able to chat with people. So if you're intrigued to just have a look at the community, see how many people are online at any one time. Generally, by the way, peak times between kind of 7 PM to 10 PM GMT. That will get anywhere up to sort of 750 concurrent users. That's kind of the general peak time numbers, which are pretty good. Certainly around the weekends it gets busy as well. But do come along and join us because we'd love to see you. Anyway, spiel over. Let's crack on with the game. It's going to take place on Vale of Isis, so let's head on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. Vale of Isis, of course, we're all very used to this map. Let's take a look at the players and their starting locations. Up here at the top left, in the blue corner, it's FunkOff, and he's going Aeon, opening first land. And down here at the bottom right, his opponent in the red corner, Adjuton, who's also going Aeon, opening first land. So it's an Aeon mirror matchup. You can see the later cues going up there for Adjuton. He's going to go second air. Potentially get some reasonably early air units in play. We've already got some units rolling off the production lines for Adjuton. Flare is the first thing he builds out of that first factory. That's going north, probably to try and snag an engineer or two, heading forward at great speed because I'm running this at +2. And taking a look at where it's headed right over to here. He's looking for that engineer that's going straight for the reclaim on those big rocks. The question is, will he manage to get it? There is already a spirit in play there for FunkOff. It's going to see that. Question is, will he be able to save it? No, he won't. Down goes that engineer. First blood out to Adjutant's now going to wander recklessly towards FunkOff's base and get knocked out by one of FunkOff's early flares as well. So FunkOff also going second air, going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or so. Is that 9? No, that's not. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can't count. 8 P-gens up and running before he goes for that air factory. 3, 6, 7, 8 as well for Adjuton. So an identical build these guys running for the opening. That shows you how fine the margins are at the top of the game. There are also relatively similar situations, although actually I think FunkOff is a little bit ahead. Yeah, he is ways ahead actually. I'm not sure if he's just got the better of the reclaim in the early game. 644 for Funk, 450 for Adjuton. So Funk has had slightly more success in the early game. He's had a better route with these engineers picking up the large quantities of mass that are littered around the starting area. He's got hold of that more efficiently and quicker, and that's what's got him ahead in this so far. But a transport now out of the production line there for FunkOff, and he's producing lots of flares as well. So it looks like we're going to see a ghetto gunship here at minute 3.5. And where can he go with that? Well, he can go pretty much anywhere he likes. There are air units in the sky, so he's going to need to be careful of that out for Adjuton. One of them's a scout plane, so Adjuton may well have seen that. What's he producing? He's producing interceptors to counter. There's a bomber on his way over to the left-hand side of the screen there for Adjuton. But there's also an interceptor out for FunkOff that makes one pass on that bomber. We're going to go to split screen and keep an eye on these two engagements. One pass over the top, bombs away, straight on top of two engineers, bam, and a power plant. Down it goes. Will it get a second pass? No, it won't. But meanwhile, that Ghetto gunship's in trouble. It's got interceptors on him. It's got thistles coming out of the production line. Runs straight over here, takes out an engineer working on the hydrocarbon. That's really going to annoy Adjuton, and then very wisely drops all of those flares onto the ground, because that chariot's probably not going to make it home alive. No, it's not. Interceptor there for Adjuton takes it out. So those flares retreat up further to the top, and FunkOff getting a very nice start here. He's ahead on mass as well, and as soon as I say that, Adjuton also responds straight up to 13 or so mass a piece. But lovely little work with the Ghetto gunship there. And did that hurt Adjuton for power? Yes, it did. Minus 41 net currently, because he hasn't managed to finish off that hydrocarbon. That's going to be so essential to your build on a map like this. It's incredibly important to get that operational. These flares now going to work, taking down a mass point next to that hydro. And Funk moving very far south indeed with his ACU. What's Adjuton doing for the moment? His ACU is finally moving out of his base up north to deal with these flares, just in case they have any ideas about taking out this other mass point, which is what they're probably going to start working on. It's going to struggle to take that down, though, as Adjuton's ACU turns up in the nick of time, making sure that mass point survives on 243 HP, no less. But FunkOff has snagged the bottom left corner and promptly starts building mexes on that location. 15 mass to 11 mass in favor of FunkOff, but a large group of grisly-looking units heading north now for Adjuton. And this has completely opened the right-hand side of FunkOff's base. He needs to be careful here. Doesn't want to have a T1 spam-shaped problem coming in the door to his right. And a bomber away over the top of the units for FunkOff. Getting a nice bomb in there. Looked like a couple of units went down, but too many thistles in the mix. Aren't going to let that bomber have a second pass. But now FunkOff lining up next to Adjuton's western edge, western entrance, and Adjuton's wisely trying to get down an eruptor or two. Wants to be very careful about the proximity of Funk's ACU there. Doesn't want to let that ACU get in amongst these structures, take out any key power plants, slow up his production any more than is at all necessary. It looks like he's not going to do that for the moment. He's going to prevent any movements coming through this fissure in the canyon here. He's going to throw down an eruptor of his own. So both of these guys going into moderate turtle mode for the moment. Bombers coming in for Funk, trying to work on that spam, and a beautiful bomb there right in the middle, takes out every single thistle and a couple of auroras as well. 6 units down in one pass. That is a very successful bombing run indeed. Plenty of interceptors though in the sky for Adjuton. Going to go after that bomber, but there's quite a few in the sky as well for Funk. They get in behind those interceptors. That could be slightly costly there for Adjuton, handing superiority in the air, at least temporarily, to Funk, although Funk doesn't want to follow them straight over the top of Adjuton's base. There are going to be 1 or 2 thistles in the mix, ready to take advantage, but immediately Adjuton responds with some nice micro there, staying in behind those units, evening up those odds. It's now 2 apiece, at least for the moment. Adjuton making its way right up to the top with his ACU as well, and threatening the eastern side of FunkOff's base. He's trying to spam up more eruptors of his own, but he's already got 2 in place. The question is, are there any furthers? There is 1, 2 in this mix, and they're going to start working on some of these eruptors as quickly as possible. But T1 spam returning from the bottom for Funk. Adjuton's going to place his ACU between those units and his own spam. Wants to protect those furthers, so he still has an option on these eruptors, but I think it's going to be too much for him to contend with. He's going to have to pull out and save as many units as he can. Meanwhile, a little engagement happening down at the bottom. It's FunkOff versus the spam. That will be a terrible name for a book. Forward he comes. He's on around 7,600 HP, so he's had a few tussles, got in amongst himself. Lots of furthers on the field, And look at the range on that. FunkOff must have got the range upgrade on the commander. Yes, he does. Enhanced quantum disruptor, so he's going all kinds of sniper business in this house. Very nice to see indeed. Finally, that eruptor goes down. Nice overcharge there, taking out whole clumps of units. FunkOff really utilizing his ACU as best as he can. Adjuton's attention firmly focused on what's happening down here, and lacking fervors up top. He's going to struggle to take out these eruptors, which is what he needs to do if he's going to make a successful assault on the base. He's going to grab an upgrade on the ACU as well. But of course, with that range upgrade, FunkOff can just dance in and out of range of these Auroras and start picking them off one by one. I don't know if he actually outranges the T1 PD. That is quite a significant range we're talking about there. I think it does. I think it just does. Take a look at those two range circles. Potentially, he's going to throw down a factory at this bottom aperture as well. It's going to give him some quick access to reinforcements. Another bomber out top, though, for Funk, and he's having such success with those bombers, taking out another 3 units in one pass, and then getting back over the safety of his base when Adjuton responds with some interceptors. They're not going to be able to get a solution on those bombers, promptly taken out by FunkOff's defending inties. And you think he could clean up all of this or start working on some mexes, go straight after a radar. Nice key structure that. Denying that intel, always a good option. Circling around once again, working on the spam. 5 T1 units down at the top now for Adjuton. That is a bad place to park your planes, Mr. Funk. He agrees, probably getting them out of there. Adjuton still on that upgrade on the commander. How's he doing for eco? Well, he's on the breadline for power, using up all of his mass. FunkOff moving in once again. He's managed to dispatch one of those eruptors. Going to start picking off some of these units and start laying down fire on some of these factories as well. All of the key power plants, though, are over on the right-hand side of the base, and that would involve him getting perhaps too close to all of those hordes of Auroras that Funk feels comfortable with. He's going to try and pick them off at range. Auroras, of course, normally known for their range advantage, but not against an ACU with that much firepower. He's got 54 kills on that ACU already, and Adjuton is abandoning the top. He's heading south with all of his units. He knows he can't contend with the ACU in that range. FunkOff hasn't had to push into the center of that base at all. He can just keep his spam here as and when he needs it and pick off stuff with that sniper ACU. Adjuton heading south now. The question is, will he be in time to save his base, and what has he got, if anything, on that commander? Did he finish that upgrade? He's got the quantum accelerator, so he hasn't got the range, but he's got the rate of fire. So we're going to see the two aspects of the Aeon gun upgrades here. In he comes, and look at the amount of damage pouring off that ACU. Hoovers up all those units, and suddenly FunkOff could be in a little bit of trouble here. He's got range, but he's losing out twice the damage to Adjuton's ACU, and now there's a whole bunch of red Auroras pouring down on top of him. Luckily, he spams up a few eruptors. He had the build capacity to do that, and now it's Adjuton's turn to be in trouble. He's pulling away, only 14 kills on him, so not a great deal of regen, and he's got 1400 HP only on that commander, and he's not going to be able to contend with the range as well. FunkOff doesn't decide to follow, though, despite having Adjuton down to such a low proportion of his HP. Could have been a chance to take it right there, but look at this. We've got T2 Blazes in the mix. Funk has taken the chance, the opportunity to upgrade to T2 Tech on the ground game up here, and he's just attacked outright, and now suddenly Adjuton looking very short on map control indeed as those units head south, threatening these two mexes and the hydrocarbon, which Adjuton still can't afford to lose. 33 positive power only net. That goes down. He's going to be bottlenecked once again. FunkOff wants to stay in the mix long enough to take it down. Yes, he does. How does that hurt Adjuton? Just enough to start causing a deficit. He needs to start countermanding that with a couple of extra T1 P-gens. Just 3 or 4 should do it. But he doesn't have a lot of build capacity and a lot of mass to spare. Double the mass, more or less, for Funk. This Blaze is finally going to meet their match. There's just too many T1 units on the field there. And this could be quite interesting now. They've been producing T2 engineers out of that T2 factory over here in the blue base. And could cause problems. He's going to have fervors in the mix that can deal with those 3 eruptors on the eastern edge of that blue base. And we've got some queued up Oblivion turrets. That's definitely the right call. The question is, can he buy himself enough time? Is Adjuton going to attack immediately? I think he needs to. There are a lot of bombers in the sky, though, and we're about to see how well Funk can do with those bombers. 1 away in the mix, 2 away in the mix, taking out at least 5 to 10 units, but they don't get a second pass at all. There's so many thistles in there. Harsh anti-air doing their job. The question is, have they bought this base enough time to get that Oblivion turret online? I think they have. Rapidly approaching the obligatory 2000 HP. There it goes, and that might just be enough to discourage Adjuton from coming in to attack. The fervors move forward. They're going to try and range those eruptors, but nope, they're not going to hang around. They can't contend with firepower of that magnitude. FunkOff still harassing, this time with T2 Blazes in the mix down here at this mini micro base he's set up. He's also got an Oblivion turret, so Funk looking very strong here at minute 18.5. And still able to harass with that range. 80 kills on that ACU already. Adjuton's coming in to shoo FunkOff away, but he's got to be careful. He's on about less than half the HP, nearly a third of the HP, and could be seeing a little bit of a point defense creep here from FunkOff. Another Oblivion turret going down, this time in the center of the aperture between the 2 sides of this map. And through that aperture lies Adjuton's base. What's that Oblivion turret in range of? Certainly in range of that forward PD. It retargets Adjuton's ACU. That needs to be really careful. Down to 900 HP. He's got to bug out of there. That ACU is effectively useless. He cannot use it anymore, and FunkOff senses just that. Moves forward to swat a couple of those engineers, trying to rebuild those eruptors. All of these factories are paused, and we have got T2 ground tech there for Adjuton, who's going to start some Oblivion turrets of his own, and this is make or break time now for the Red Aeon team. The Red Aeon needs to secure this base, and it's going to be a tall order. There's no 2 ways about it. And now we've got T2 air on the field for FunkOff. Spectres out, harassing this top blob of T1. Eventually the thistles in that mix take down that Spectre, but there are more Spectres being produced all the time. Lots of interceptors though on the field for Adjuton, and quite a lot of spam building up down here as well. 1 Oblivion turret up, another one going up very quickly indeed, and another one not far behind it. It really is quite impressive, and that is sapping power very heavily indeed from Adjuton. He needs to rectify this power situation. He's been in trouble the whole game. Repeatedly having that Hydro taken out by Funk hasn't helped, of course. How is Funk doing? He has just enough to be getting on with. In comes another round of Spectres, this time going after the Thistles straight off the bat. He's taken out almost all of them, just 1 up here at the back, but the interceptors come in from Adjuton, and they are definitely superior in number. But now we've got Swift Winds on the field, significantly better, of course, than the T1 counterparts. And it's going to be interesting to see if Adjuton can contend with this constant tech upgrading and switching that FunkOff has been doing. He's only just managed to get back on top of things with the ground game, getting that T2 ground factory in place, and now he's facing a deficit in the air as well. And now a little bit of a push up here from Funk, some blazes coming into the mix, lots of Auroras on the field. Adjuton's going to have to withdraw once again, yielding this top right position and the 2 mexes it possesses. Finally that blaze goes down. He does actually have the better of these numbers now. Radar going down there for Funk, or being placed I should say. And Funk really burrowed in down here now, has his own shield of light, his T2 shield generator in place. Has a couple of Oblivion turrets down there, a third one inched forwards right at the edge of that shield barrier. And you can see it's going to be able to reach 2 factories. That's only 1 factory now, that one has gone down. Potentially that a forward Oblivion turret, or just the engineers that will buy it. That's it for the moment. Now Adjuton pushing up with his T1 spam back to the top, trying to rescue this top corner. He can't allow it to crumble. If he faces it from 2 sides, he really will be handing over the game to Funk. He is in a bad spot right now, but it's not over. Just needs to find a way to do some damage on this side of the base. Funk focusing primarily on air units for the moment. Needs to get enough swift winds together to deal with all of these interceptors that have been on constant build for Adjuton. Adjuton's not going for any air-to-ground combat offensiveness at all. He's just going air protection, and he's going to try and break this bottom walnut with some evensongs. Absolutely the right decision. There is already a volcano in play, but of course that's one of the problems with Aeon TMD. That's not going to save your shield gen from getting hit. It will be very comprehensive at saving the structures underneath when that shield collapses, but of course you've got other things in there such as Oblivion turrets or ground units in the area firing directly into this area. That shield gen's going to be pummeled very quickly indeed, so it's a bit of a double-edged sword, that. But quite a lot of blazes on the field now for Funk. Funk really wants to secure this top edge. If he could secure this and get another one of these little bases propped up here and threaten this section, it really will be all over. Shield gen going down once again, or being placed once again, thrown down here at the bottom by Funk. Wants to double up on the shield capacity. Another volcano as well placed, but of course still not going to stop it from colliding with that shield. Adjuton looking a little bit more healthy on his ACU, 5,400 HP or so, and both of these guys deadlocked on 40 mass apiece, but FunkOff getting dirty with his ACU, getting his hands dirty, dealing with this personally. Going to roll in with those blazes and in no time at all clear the top section of the map. And there is nothing really on the field at all for Adjuton. It's because he's thrown everything into an upgrade. He now has T3 tech on the field, and that's going to help him range this base very successfully indeed. Those evensongs going to damage the shield, and that Serenity going to be able to do all the damage when it goes down. The question is, has he got time to rectify the situation? Blaze is coming down, swatting those 2 mass points and the Hydro once again. Does that hurt his power once again? Yes, it does. He still hasn't been able to spend enough resources on his eco to get it to some kind of safe level. He does have 1 T2 P-Gen in there. Now, of course, he's pumping out T3 units, which are inherently much more expensive. But I think he's done all he needs to do to break this bottom edge. Build capacity evacing further inland towards Funk's side of the map. And now 1, 2, 3, 4 Serenities already, and Adjuton switches up to Harbingers. And how is Funk going to respond? He's already upgrading to T3. He knows he's been out-teched down there. Very nice work of Adjuton, though, to hold on for long enough to get that T3 upgrade. Perhaps a little bit sluggish there of Funk for allowing him to do so. It did feel like he had the initiative on the field, but hasn't managed to do anything with it. Not now, not at the moment anyway. But once again, another attack coming in from the north. Lots of blazes in the mix still, but Harbingers flying north. They are just so fast. They're going to start picking off the stragglers from that group of units as they head further north. And that tech switch really is going to change things up. Another upgrade for Funk. Take a look at what that is at just a moment. More power gens being thrown down in FunkOff's base. He's having problems, obviously, at the moment, and I'm not surprised. He's paused both the upgrade on the T3 land factory and the upgrade on the commander. Those Harbs, though, just finishing off all of that stuff on the ground. A couple of Spectres coming in to try and kill them off. They manage one of them, but the horde of Inties from Adjuton swarm in to the rescue, and there are just so many of them now. Not sure if those Swift Winds are going to be able to have much luck against them. Another Harb, though, down here for Adjuton, picking off those two Mexes. But look at this. Is that reclaim? No. Yeah, some of it was. So 50, it looks to be 50, 60 something mass for FunkOff, and only 20 something for Adjuton, because he's hurting on power so badly. Could just have been rectified, though. So 39 plays 66, still dramatically in favor of Funk. And a new little base has sprung up in the midsection, but with no ability to fight back against these Serenities that are just going to outrange them all day. That Shield of Light, the T2 shield gen for Aeon, already at half mast, down to around 4,000, 3,000, 2,000 HP, and dropping like a brick. When that collapses, a whole bunch of build capacity under there that's vulnerable. So FunkOff is coming down to deal with things personally. And that upgrade is the shield. So that is now one pretty serious Rambo-style commander. Look at that rage. Beautiful overcharge there. And hello. He's got the Quantum Disruptor and the Accelerator. So he's got the rate of fire, the range upgrade as well on that gun, and personal shield. That's a beast, an absolute beast. Adjuton has evac'd away from that commander and is heading north. The question is, are there enough Oblivion turrets up here to protect the base from these Harbingers? They're certainly not going to be able to do much about the Serenities. They've been pulled back straight into the center of the base here. The question is, even with that personal shield, has Funk got enough power, enough damage, and enough tank to deal with all those Oblivion turrets? That's a lot of fire coming out of the center of that base, and he's thinking about it. He's not sure. And at the same time, of course, he's now got this to contend with, and he's thrown so much mass and energy into that ACU. This is what's allowed Adjuton to get back into the game. And these Serenities just parking up at the midpoint now to be able to pummel this base, and this could be really bad news now for Funk. He's got some Harbs of his own. There are now 5 Harbs over here on the right-hand side, so he needs a couple of more just to break even, and Funk exclaims in chat he's not happy about it. He's going to really struggle to deal with that, and of course he hasn't managed to master the air game. Yes, he's got that T2 upgrade on the air factory. Yes, he could pump out some Spectres that could come in and hoover those up, but they would just get insta-rinsed by the amount of T1 interceptors that Adjuton's got on the field, and that shield already down for Funk. There are so many Oblivion turrets in that base. He wanted to come in and do some damage, but he just can't contend, and now he's in real trouble. Backing up out of their 2,900 HP, he gets out of range just in the nick of time, and his situation has not improved. Got to find some way of dealing with these Serenities. Comes in to combat some of these Harbingers with some of his own, but he doesn't have enough, and he takes down one for the loss of 3, or potentially, was it even 4? 4 at least went down there for Funk. That's a really bad trade. That air factory is paused, and another volley coming in from those Serenities. Oh, man. And this is just a feature of this map. I like what FunkOff has done with the amount of upgrades he's got on the commander, but he's being defeated by the shape of the map at the moment. And those Swift Winds just got brutalized by all of those interceptors. There's just too many of them. Some T1 bombers on the field now. FunkOff's throwing everything he can trying to defeat these Serenities, but already got some levels of veterancy on them. And once again, heavy losses on the Harbinger front up here for Funk, who turns up in the nick of time with his ACU. He's going to force these units away finally. The Harbingers are just so fast. He can't catch up with them with his ACU. All of these units going to run away out of range. And now, once again, this rear base is going to be threatened. A real game of cat and mouse going on here at the minute 39 mark in this game. These mass points going to get insta-popped. And Adjuton actually on top of this in terms of mass in this game. He hasn't had map control, but he's been doing upgrades nicely. Look, we've got a few T3 mexes in here. Another one on the way. This base going to get absolutely ruined. Down it goes, and more mass threatened once again by Adjuton, and it's amazing. I don't know how he's managed to do it. He was well on the back foot in this one, but somehow he's pulled this back, and now I think it's going to take a miracle for Funk to be able to deal with this. He's trying to get back into his base as quickly as possible as these Harbingers turn up, and he exclaims once again in chat, they're just so fast. Yes, they are. And in they come, and bye-bye Blue Aeon base. Poor old Funk didn't have enough time to get back into position, and he has a GC that's half done. That was his last-ditch effort. That's where all his mass and energy was going into, but those Harbingers just pour the damage onto all that build capacity, and he's never going to get it finished now. He turns up finally with his ACU. Beautiful overcharge there, snags 3 of the Harbs, but the damage is well and truly done. Super unlikely that GC is going to get finished now. Could have been a game changer that had that got finished, so I like what he was doing there, but it just wasn't going to get completed in time. And Funk calls GG, control cases comm, and exits the game at minute 42. Wow, interesting game that one, guys. Not the most fast-paced game, but illustrates actually very nicely, because the pace was slightly slower, the transition of tech and the transition of strategy or tactics in the game. So very nice to see indeed. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. As always, more to come from me in the future. In the meantime, as always, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle signing out.